What's up, everyone? So the last stream, Laguna Seca, could have gone better. Let's leave it at that. Apologies for a little bit of foul language. My wife was very upset, so gonna try to not do that in future. Obviously, emotions run a little bit high. And when you get done on lap 2, the guy that I guess caused the incident wasn't his fault. You know, he went off. It's a difficult part of the circuit, and it happened to come on the track. I could have gone a little bit to the right, but I thought if I did, I might lose the rear. So yeah, is what it is. It happens. There was a little moment. I might put it in at the end of this video, where I kind of set somebody up nicely to the outside and then done him super late on the brakes into turn 1, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed that. So now Bathurst is the next one, so it's obviously going to be a very tricky circuit. Obviously, you know, I think it's a foregone conclusion that there'll be incidents, and a foregone conclusion that I'll be involved in something there. But I thought it might be cool to go through a little bit of the stuff that I do anyway to prep for a league race. So what we're going to do is just jump into a hot lap mode in this case, and just because the software that I'm going to be using to kind of understand where I am and what I need to improve on only works in hot lap mode. So yeah, so let's go and get some reference data, and then let's go and have a look. Okay, so here we are having a look at the lap. We did a 205.2, which I think I've got a bit more pace, but I think this is kind of a fair reflection. So let's just first start off by having a look at representatively where that would kind of put us. Where's the track? Nürburgring. There it is. Okay, got the pros doing some really quick times, 2011. We are here. That puts us 2, 3, 4, 5, P6. And what's that, P2 for the McLarens. So that's not too bad. I mean, there's not a lot of laps here. But still, generally actually quicker than the dude just ahead of us. Little Safa, yeah, that's cool. This is Veloci Esports Pro. This guy's also a pro, so you know, just as a reference. Anyway, so what we want to do is go esports laps. It's going to be Isaac Gillis's lap, I would imagine. I think it is. Okay, and there we go. All right, so now have a quick look. No, against our fastest lap. Okay, so the lap that we did was 3.5 seconds off Isaac's pace. So now what the best way I find to do this is to kind of look corner by corner and just understand where we're at. Okay, so turn 1, just like a really brief look. Time delta goes, we're losing a little bit on the exit. In part 2 we'll kind of get into more about why that is, looking at braking traces and steering and things like that. But essentially what we can see is turns 3 to 5, 7/10 off the pace, 11 through 14, 8/10 off the pace. And there's a couple of other areas, but the two big areas we really want to focus on are turns 3 to 5 and turns 11 to 14, and to see what's happening that's causing us to be off the pace. So this is the little right-hander coming into, I don't know what it's called, but where the Audi boards are. So we have line, we're a little bit offline. You know, speed is vastly different, where he's coming in a lot quicker, so he's obviously coasting a lot late. He's on the power, I would say, later, and we can see he's on the throttle a lot longer, where we dipping off the throttle a lot earlier. And he's also more or less back at full throttle at the same time, although we have like a little lift mid corner, which is going to cost us a bit of time. We are a hell of a lot later on the brakes than him. We're also off slightly earlier, but yeah, so maybe slightly earlier on the brakes and later on the throttle. Just having a look. It's interesting. Not really coasting it in. So only we're coasting, so he's not coasting at all, so that'll be a big chunk of that time right there. Steering's quite different as well. We're using a lot more lock to get through, where he's kind of just managing the car through. So that's something to look at there. And then if we look at turns through 13 to 14, yeah, okay, so this is just coming down the hill now. Speed is carrying a lot more average speed than us. Braking on the entry is almost identical, although we're using a lot more pressure than him. We have a little tap, and then the second part we're earlier on the brakes. He's got more of a trail, and then we're late on the brakes, and he's got more trail, and then just coming into the bottom, going towards the Conrad straight, we're using a lot more braking. Steering angle relatively the same. We're using a little bit more steering angle, except for coming into the Conrad straight, we're using a hell of a lot more. So yeah, so I mean, fixing just these two areas right here is a second. So 0.42 starting to get there. Threes are starting to become good times, I think. But if we look at this as we kind of work through, we've got, call it 8/10 and 8.5. That's 1.6 seconds just there, and then we have another through 15 and 19 with half a second, 21, 22 with half a second. Relatively competitive in some other places, so not all bad. But that's 0.9 of a second. That's 1.7 seconds. So 2.5 seconds really. In three places of the lap. So 2.5 seconds. Puts us 0.8 behind an esports lap, which is not too bad. So like we now kind of have an idea of what to be working at. So what I would do next is probably just look at some video. We don't have video of this exact lap, unfortunately, but we can quite easily get video of a lap in this kind of time bracket to kind of reference against. So yeah, so that's kind of part one of prepping for a league race. Next we'll look at some video and then start working on those specific parts of the circuit, coming back to the data and seeing how we improve. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you join me for the next part.